What if I told you that in 1901, while your great-grandpa was still trying to figure out suspenders, there was already a hybrid car with electric motors inside the wheels? Ladies and gentlemen, and my friend Timmy, buckle up and grab your monocles, because today we're traveling back to the days when horses were still giving side-eye to automobiles. And the only hybrid most folks knew was their neighbor Bob's conspiracy theory about ducks and pigeons crossbreeding. Today, we dive into the Lohner-Porsche Mixte hybrid, a car so ahead of its time, Timmy thought it ran on moonshine and optimism. Honestly, if this thing had launched today, half the politicians would take credit and the other half would try to ban it. But first, a quick thank you to our sponsors. Without you, we'd have to power this channel the way Timmy powers his fishing trips, by convincing strangers at the pub that he's testing out new bait. Thanks for keeping the lights on and, more importantly, the laughs coming. Now back to the madness of early hybrid motoring. Let's set the stage. It's 1901, Vienna. The city is booming, but so are the mustaches and egos. The manufacturer? Jacob Lohner & Co., best known for making luxury carriages for people who'd never carry their own groceries. But along comes a genius, young Ferdinand Porsche, a man whose ideas were so far out there, even Bob thinks he might have been from another planet. Porsche teams up with chief engineer Otto Grunwald, and together they cook up the Mixte hybrid. Why? Because regular cars just weren't complicated or expensive enough for the Austrian elite. And there's nothing more satisfying than confusing your driver with words like generator, cardan shaft, and accumulators. Funding for the initial Lohner-Porsche Mixte hybrids came from Austro-Hungarian diplomat and businessman Emil Jelinek, a man so wealthy he could order 7 long-range Mixte cars and barely notice the dent in his fortune. Or, let's be honest, in his common sense. Jelinek financed the first batch of 7 mixed hybrids, each reportedly costing around 14,000 kronen at the time, though the price for later and better-equipped models could climb as high as 34,000 kronen, depending on options. And just to be clear, those weren't the only Mixte hybrids ever built. Production continued in various forms for years after, including models assembled at Austro-Daimler. So, what made this car special? Well, it wasn't just a show pony. Porsche dropped a 5.5-litre inline 4-cylinder DMG Mercedes engine with a whopping 28 horsepower at 800 revolutions per minute under the hood. I know, 28 horsepower sounds like something my lawn chair could handle, but in 1901 that was basically warp speed. This engine, mounted up front and lengthwise, was connected by a cardan shaft to a generator tucked under the front seats. Now, this generator could send juice to a pair of electric motors hiding in the front wheel hubs. Yes, actual wheel hub motors. Even today, most car companies look at that and say, let's come back to it in 120 years. And get this, the batteries weren't just for starting up or creeping a couple of miles, about 25 to 31 kilometers in silence. They could actually take the car as far as 15 to 20 miles, about 25 to 31 kilometers. On electric power alone, which in 1901 Vienna meant you could escape the city center without anyone noticing, unless your name is Timmy and you're already lost by the first intersection. Once those batteries got tired, the gasoline engine would fire up, feeding a generator that powered the electric motors, making this a true series hybrid before the term even existed. As for the chassis, forget your modern ladder frame fantasies. Early Lohner Porsches were built on wooden carriage-style frames, just like a horse-drawn phaeton, because if you wanted steel in 1901, you had to know a baron or a blacksmith. The body style? Most sources describe it as a phaeton or voiturette with elegant coachwork, not the 2+2 roadster you'd see at the modern Concours. This was the kind of vehicle you'd expect to see royalty waving from, not Timmy struggling to find the glove box. When it comes to weight, sources aren't exactly in harmony. Some put the mixed mass around 3,300 pounds, about 1,500 kilograms. Others suggest lighter or heavier figures, depending on the battery setup and bodywork. In other words, it was heavy enough that if Timmy sat in the back, you'd need an extra horse, just in case. Transmission? Direct drive via in-wheel electric motors. No gearbox, no shafts, just pure early 20th century genius pushing power straight to the front wheels. As for the suspension, it most likely rode on leaf springs all around. Brakes? All four wheels had mechanical drum brakes, but the real showstopper was additional generator regenerative braking provided by those hub motors, a breakthrough for 1901. And at a top speed of around 56 to 60 kilometers per hour, that's 35 to 37 miles per hour, you'd feel like you were defying the laws of physics, or at least making your hat nervous. What about the inside? Well, if you liked comfort, you'd better be a masochist. And as for fuel economy, let's just say it was optimistic, but who cares? If you could afford a Mixte, you could afford to hire Timmy to pedal behind you with a fan just for giggles. Production of the Lohner-Porsche system resulted in around 300 vehicles of various types, but sales of the hybrid Mixte were extremely limited, likely no more than a dozen. Among the clients were prominent figures such as Julius Meinl, Ludwig Stolwerk, Baron Rothschild, and princes from the Fürstenberg family. In 1902, Ferdinand Porsche himself chauffeured Archduke Franz Ferdinand during military maneuvers. So how did the Mixte fare in the real world? Porsche himself set a national speed record in one, hitting a mind-bending 56 kilometers per hour, and even winning the Exelberg Rally in 1902. When Ferdinand Porsche left Lohner for Daimler in 1906, the company's automotive adventures wound down. The electric and hybrid concepts faded, only to be rediscovered decades later by everyone from Boeing to NASA, who studied Porsche's work while planning the Apollo lunar rovers. Now let's talk money. Back in 1901, 14,000 kronen for the Mixte would make any banker faint. Converted, that's around $70,000 in today's money, or about 64,000 euros. But if you're looking for one at auction now, you're out of luck. None of the original mixed hybrids survived, and the only way you'll see one is as a $1 million replica. Before we wrap up, let's give a round of applause for the Mixte hybrid. It dared to do what nobody else tried, and it made hybrid technology look cool, 120 years before anyone cared about emissions. If you enjoyed this automotive time travel and want more stories about crazy cars and wild inventors, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until then, drive safe, stay curious, and keep your batteries charged. Unless, like Timmy, you run better on caffeine and hope.